Was it not your sin trapped the unicorn? Even now, the evil seed of what you've done germinates within you.
I feel so guilty. Whoa. Brandon, what you doing? These days, I am not good. Whoa. You are, you're here.
I'm here.
Again.
You're here.
I am. Wait, that must mean another episode of
TekTalks.
TekTalks. Episode 17.
Episode 17. And again, this is actually if we count all the other recordings that we've done, this is the 20th time you and I have gotten together.
Yeah, and we once again have
the Dunham Beast.
Eric.
Yeah, I'm here. We're just reading the comments.
Yeah.
We are all yeast, milady.
So good. Okay, so today we are going to be focusing on kind of continuing the process that we were setting up last time. The previous two videos, episode 15 and episode 16, were sort of linked.
Yes.
Video 15 was about Google Forms and like some massive data collection from students or wherever.
Which you guys have been doing an excellent job of collecting that formative data on students for the entire year.
Sweet.
Props.
Thanks for the props. And then episode 16 was once you have this big, gigantic data set, what do you do with it? Like, how do you organize it? How do you focus in on data instead of having multiple tabs? So we disaggregated it. Is that correct? Eric, you're the one that led us through it. Like, that's what happened last time?
Did we do that?
Yeah.
Because you even said, this data's been pooped out.
So today we're going to kind of take a final step in that process and talk us through a little bit about, first off, will you show us kind of what we did a little bit last time and then what we're going to be doing today?
So the thing that I think makes this, when we've been talking to some of the other teachers about how to use this stuff and how is it valuable, the big concern is, okay, cool, we can create a big list of data right here. I've gotten rid of my students' names and emails, but there would be those here.
Yep.
And there's some stuff, right? I collect certain datas, what lesson, what unit.
So I see here that we have multiple classes, multiple students.
Oh, and it goes on for
big nasty thing
all semester. So it's 1,200, 1,500 entries.
Eric, you have how many classes?
5.
Okay.
About 80 students, 5 classes.
And they're all filling out forms, and all of this data is coming crashing into the sheet.
So it's only one form that they're filling out.
One form for all 5 classes. They select which class they're in.
So we did this.
What unit, what lesson. They answer some questions that I asked them.
Okay, this is Google Forms. This was kind of episode 15. Then in episode 16, you showed us how to do what?
So now I'm looking at, I want to look at just my individual classes. At the bottom here, you can see that I have my blocks.
Yep.
This is out here because I don't want to mess around with the database. I don't want to change anything on this page.
Yeah.
So I go to a block. Here again, I've removed the student names and email addresses, but those would show up here.
Yep.
And then I can see just that class.
Okay.
And then
this is just your A block class.
Right. And then what I normally do is towards the end of a lesson or whatever, for me, I just as the data comes in here, I'm just checking. It's like an exit ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I'll check. Okay, what do they say? What do they do?
And so
that's fine.
what was the thing that allowed you to do that?
So the value here is being able to isolate a class.
Yeah.
I have 5 classes. I have 5 tabs. No problem.
Right.
However, what a lot of people ask, and one of the teachers we were talking with said, well, that's okay, but I really would prefer being able to look at an individual student.
Yes.
Fine. Which you could, right? I could go in here
and sort
up here, and sort of sorting by block A, I could sort by a student email address.
So hang on. For someone that hasn't seen episode 16,
go back and see episode 16.
Well, episode 16, but this query function, this big long thing, we explained in episode 16, but what is that doing really quickly? Just a quick recap of what that's doing right now.
So the query function looks at the database.
This is your initial, this is your master tab.
Yep.
Yep.
It then chooses what I asked it to find, which is select star, which is everything. Everything where this property holds, where the D column has this text in it. So when you go back to your database,
and you look at the D column,
the column is either block H, IM31, block F,
or F.
and those things are things that students choose they don't type that in.
Yeah.
They're picking, so there's no issues with like typos or whatever.
Formatting and that kind of
and
stuff.
And so then here we are.
Okay,
fine. For me, this is helpful as a grading tool, as a whatever, but a lot of teachers are like, well, I want to see one kid.
Yeah, because the reality is, let's scroll down for a second. It's still a buttload of data, right?
Yeah.
Like you're still down at like line 278.
Yeah, hundreds of things.
All right, so
we could make 80 tabs down here.
Jeez, I don't want to do that.
Tab here, you see, this could be every single kid, but that's not realistic. It's not dynamic. And this isn't a ton of work on this code, but like doing that 80 times is a lot of effort, and then things screw up.
Next semester,
what happens if you want to change a question, or you want to? There's a variety of reasons why doing 80 tabs is a non-starter.
It's a non-starter.
Non-starter.
It's a non-starter.
But the code has a workaround. So what we're going to do today is talk about how to do that. So first of all, let me just show you. I call it the student splash page, and again, I've removed their names and I'm kind of hiding their email addresses here. But there'd be a column here that just shows the student names.
And we can see, right.
So C is just names.
Yep.
What I've done here is I've created, we'll show you how to do it in a second, but just what it is. I go in here, and if I click on that, you see where I'm clicking, it's a drop-down menu.
Yeah, a little down arrow.
Right there. And it shows all of my student email addresses. I just pick one.
Yep.
And then immediately it updates. This is just that kid, this 19 NFA.
That's just that
student.
Yeah, and we only have 25 lines of data.
This is second semester that student. So you can see we've done 3 units this semester, unit 4 or 5, and we're kind of in the middle of 6. Well, we haven't started 6 here. So, and now all of a sudden, here are these questions. What's one thing that I've learned? And I can go through quickly, and I could say, she said, I improved my skills in factoring. I learned how to find the equation. I learned how to do this. Today, even quiz, right? Are there any questions? No.
There's one. Hang on. Oh, line.
I had trouble figuring out the question about the square and finding its dimensions.
Great.
So then you would say next class you could maybe address that with that
I had
student.
some questions about solving an inequality when y is greater than 0, because it was kind of confusing. Then I understood it. So this is a really great way for me to, for example, if this student's parents come in and say, "What's up?" If we have a conference, I can pull this up.
Yeah.
She's putting, this is how comfortable are you? She's putting a lot of 9s.
Yep.
This is true. This is a strong student.
Okay.
But some students do put, lower scores here. So anyway.
Because this is not attached to their grade necessarily.
Right. So the bottom line is
purely formative feedback.
Yeah. Whatever data you collect, the idea is I can isolate it. And then it's like, and then some other parent comes in. I just, bam. Immediately this list changes, and I'm looking at a different student who puts some, 4.
A powerful tool.
This whatever.
So we're seeing a different, really, I mean, just very quickly, even for a non-math teacher like me, this is a different profile student.
Yeah.
Great.
And if you had questions in here that were more qualitative, if you're asking students to write reflections or longer things, you could, it would be here, right?
Yep.
I could imagine you asking. So anyway, I'd be interested to see what this would look like in a humanities context.
Yeah.
But the idea is one form poops it out, and now I have my classes isolated, and now I have this dynamic tool. And this is also a tool, I don't have to search my student emails. If I want, what did every student say in lesson 4, I could create a tool that that would isolate for just the unit or just the lesson.
Yeah.
Or anything. So let's talk about how that looks.
Okay, yeah, let's create a new one just from scratch, can we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Do it.
Oh.
Do it. Make it do its thing. Make it do its thing.
Create a new tab.
We're going to use this one. I thought we were going to use the other one.
Oh. No, we can use this one. Let's just do it. Do it.
Create a new tab and build a new one.
We're good.
Okay, so
New tab.
we go over here. Yeah, what do we got? I'll make a new one because I don't like those sheets.
Example.
We will call this example splash page.
Cool.
All right.
So, first thing we're going to do is let's sort this one by the unit.
Okay.
I want to know, how did my students do in unit 4? So this is for me. I'm going to look at unit 4.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what I'm going to do in this box here, unit is the title. Here, the key feature here is called data validation.
Yep.
What I'm going to do is up here in data, I'm going to go to data validation.
Yep.
This creates a drop-down menu. Cell range, example slash range, so that's fine.
Yep.
The criteria is saying a list from a range. What
That's
we're going to do
what
is
you
we're going
want.
to say, like, in this cell,
B2.
we are
B1, sorry, B1.
B1, we are going to look for information somewhere else. We just click this little grid.
Yep.
And then I don't even type anything in. What data? Well, the data comes from my form responses, my database page, and it's the unit. So I go here, I'm looking at E. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to click E.
Oh, it does that.
And it puts it there for me.
Sweet.
You see it writes it in the format. I could type in this, but it's there.
Yep.
And now it's there. Show drop down list in the cell. We like that.
Yep.
I'm going to reject input. This means you cannot put in anything other than the units.
Oh, okay.
Like if you type in Steve, it's going to be like error.
I don't see that. Okay, right.
And then I'm going to show validation help text.
And that's just a little sort of note that
Choose
sometimes
your
pops
unit
up.
or something.
Choose
The unit.
your
Yeah.
unit. Or else.
You get the loaf.
Yeah, we like using fear tactics.
And I'm going to save the validation.
Cool.
Okay, so now when I go to
The example splash
The
page.
student-
example splash page,
Yeah.
you see now there's a little arrow in this menu. And if I go to this arrow, it tells me whatever my message is.
Choose your unit or else.
And I'm going to go here. And what it did, it went to this column and it looked at everything in this column.
Yep.
And every time it found something different, it just included that in the list.
Ah, okay, so that's
I
where the
didn't
little
even-
drop-down
I did
list
not
comes from.
even tell it. It just said, look in this column and every unique entry in this column.
Give it to me.
Give
So
it to
if
me.
I
Okay,
wanted
got
to
it.
create one with the student emails, they would have to have already put in data to the table in order to generate that list.
Well, yes, but as new students came in,
The list
your
would
list would
generate
automatically
itself.
update.
Lovely.
So like,
Love it.
If you did this on a blank document, you would have no emails. But then as students entered forms in, every time a new email came up,
It would add to the list.
add to
Okay,
this
got it.
list. So
All
this
right.
list would grow.
Love it.
Currently, we've only done, I don't know why there's no unit 1. That's weird.
All right.
I guess. But it found 5 choices.
Yep.
Title was just the header of the column, so
Yep.
that's nothing. But then it will tell us, okay, it found unit 4, unit 3, unit 2, other, and unit 5.
Okay.
Click on unit 3, nothing happens yet. But that's step 1. Now we're going to build a query like we did before.
Ah,
So we're going to build a normal query page just like we did before.
Because I was just about to ask you, how come nothing happened?
Yeah.
All right.
So what I'm going to do, if you're not sure how to build a query code, go to our previous videos, but I'm just going to copy and paste this to save time.
Episode 16.
So I'm copying a piece of query code. I'm going to my new thing, and I'm going to
And just to let them know too, I will actually put at the bottom as an attachment in one of the comments on this video. I'll actually put a sample data set.
Okay, so you just plugged in the query code for your A block data set.
right just to get the form up here. Now I'm going to delete this. I don't want this D block stuff. In fact, I don't want any of this stuff.
Okay.
So now it should go to nothing. It's error because it's incomplete form.
Right.
So we're going to type in. We're going from our database.
Yep.
But now we want to select everything, at least for now. We might
Star.
change that later.
I got it.
Where now? What was the column that we're working on? I go back to form databases.
E.
So E is the column that we
Did I get
care
it right?
about.
Yeah.
So we're going to say where E equals. Now here is the key. Here's a very peculiar piece of code that allows this to work.
Is it
If I-
MC squared?
What? No, that's dumb. Like, no, it's not MC squared. Oh, I get it. You're making a math joke. Okay. So
That was relatively clever.
No pun intended.
oh God, no, he did not think through that joke. What? No, don't give him credit for that bad.
Keep going.
Okay, I don't know why I do this. Okay, so in a normal form, we pick a specific piece of text. But now the whole idea here is to make it dynamic. We want it to search D block sometimes, but we want to search unit 3 sometimes. We want to search unit 4.
Right.
So we want the code to search for whatever it sees here.
Yep.
As I change this, we want it to recognize that text. And there's a specific piece of code that does this.
Looks
Okay.
probably more complicated than B1.
It is more complicated than B1. If we just typed in B1,
It's not going to work.
it's not going to work. It'd
Right.
be an
Okay,
error.
fine.
Like E equals B1.
Nothing.
Value error.
It's confused about the parameter.
Right.
Okay.
So what we do instead is, again, and if you want to talk about this code in particular, we could talk about the details, but
For now.
it is single whatever quote.
Yep, single quote.
Followed by double quote, ampersands. Now we want to say B1. And then it's symmetrical. So ampersands, double quote, single quote. So what this code does is it says where E equals whatever text that I see currently displayed in cell B1.
Okay.
That's what this is telling the computer. So now it's creating my list.
Sweet.
You don't have any data in Unit 2.
There's no data in Unit 2? That's what?
Well, because you start a new form, no worries. But you do have data in Unit 4.
There it is. It did.
It doesn't. I don't love that. The code did not like the spaces in there.
Right.
I was putting the spaces in there to try and isolate what's happening.
Yep.
I guess it didn't like that.
Okay.
So
Run it all together.
Well, troubleshooting right in front of you, ladies.
Yeah, that's okay, yeah.
I guess I'm learning that. Okay. Now I'm curious. If you put the spaces there, does that kill it?
Does it?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
it does.
It
Ooh.
does not like those spaces.
Very
To be honest, that's great for our viewers that actually can see us troubleshooting a little bit. Okay, so it doesn't like the spaces.
All right,
Very,
so
very
like
picky.
that outside, so like there's the two that make the green, it doesn't matter, but this piece of code right there,
It has to be solid.
I guess has to have no spaces in it.
Right.
That's good to know.
So, good to know. Now, here it is. We'll have to, like, I guess,
I'll edit that out later.
you'll see that it's only Unit 4. You'll notice that this is a bunch of different classes.
Right.
This actually might not be that useful for me because I think we're looking at Unit 4 from some different classes.
Yeah.
Might not be the best.
But it might not be bad feedback for you.
So can you talk us through how to just isolate a student?
So then here, Unit 3, you'll see immediately it changes to Unit 3.
Nice.
Unit 2. There's only one thing from Unit 2. That's weird. Okay. All right. Has anyone put
What's in other?
Someone put in other.
So other is usually for me. I mean, other is when a student didn't work. They were ahead or whatever, so they did their own
right.
thing, or I made an agreement with them. They were going
Okay,
to work on
right.
something else that class. Okay, so great. Well, same thing, but
Yeah.
now we're going to student.
Yeah, let's do that.
Student email. So I use the student email because when they type in their own names, you know, they type it in wrong or capitalized, whatever, but the email is something that is immediately connected to
Yes,
their account.
you
stamp.
filled
It's a
out
stamp.
you filled out your form to collect that automatically.
Is that?
Yeah, it's my alarm.
Okay, so let's do this. Instead of units now, I want to change this validation.
Okay.
Right? This needs to be emails now. So
Right.
I'm going to format, clear formatting. No. And I'm going to data validation, same range. So the cell range, that's just the cell that's the cell we're
Yeah,
on.
that's right, yeah.
But we're going to do a new list. Instead, we're going to go back. Now we're going to go to, for me, B is the column that has the email addresses. in
Okay.
it.
Got it.
And it automatically populated that
Yeah.
window?
And then show validation help text. Choose an email address.
Okay. Everything else is the same?
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be saved.
Okay.
We go back to the example splash page. So now, email addresses.
Look at that.
The code
Doesn't work yet.
doesn't work yet.
Right?
Because it's looking for,
Stuff in E.
yeah.
And
right,
we
so-
want it to be stuff in B.
because B is where the email addresses are stored. Currently,
Yes.
it's saying, oh, there are no email addresses in the unit
Of course
list.
there aren't. Yes.
So we go to B,
and then suddenly.
and now here's
Oh!
and you see, you'll notice, or you can't notice maybe, the student is actually really consistent, spells her name correctly every time.
Yep.
But
One day she was shouting.
there are some students, like
That
she
don't.
typed in, so look, we search by the email address because that's
Yes.
unchangeable.
Right.
Cool.
And so that's a little bit of actually data hygiene that
It
you're,
is.
it's a little hint.
And for those of you who feel great about this, it's here. I'm going to throw in one quick thing here for the more advanced users. I want to search by student. I want to see what this student did in Unit 4.
oh.
So what I'm going to do here is underneath this, in a new box, I'm going to create another data validation, just like we did before.
Yep.
I'm going to go back and find
E.
my unit.
Yep.
Bam. Okay, good. And I don't.
You're going to reject the input this time?
I should reject input.
Yep.
And I'm going to say pick a unit.
See that? I learned something.
Good job, Kyle.
You're welcome.
Okay. We go back to the splash page. Now we have two data validations.
Yep.
Okay.
This one's a unit.
So how did she do?
It doesn't
in-
have any impact yet. I need to go back to my code. And again, this is more advanced users will do more detail on this later, but if you're comfortable, where B equals this and E equals 1
No
double
spaces.
ampersands. We're doing B2 at this point, and then
No, that's B.
Oh,
B
at.
double single
and
enter.
make it happen.
So now, this is just this student for just this unit. Very specific.
Cool.
Or just
very
this
cool.
student for just that unit. So you could have several data validations if you wanted to. So that is also an option for more advanced users.
But that's pretty schmexy, definitely.
Love that word.
So hey, I mean, this is potentially pretty useful. So let's, again, going back to sort of recapping, we did forms. Eric eventually taught us how to disaggregate them using the query function. And again, this is something that we covered in episode 16.
Correct.
And then today, we have learned about data validation and how to individually isolate any particular variable, right?
It has its own column.
And again, it goes deep. You could have, there's more sophisticated ways to do this. If I wanted to isolate on one of my qualitatives, you can isolate, instead of saying match exactly, you can use code that says contains this word. Things like that. So there are further customizations. If you think it's possible, it probably is, and you can reach out to us about it.
Okay, cool.
Like we isolated by...
Well, let's not kid ourselves. They're going to reach out to you.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, thank you very much.
Yeah, Eric, thanks for being with us again, man.
Yeah,
This is some really cool stuff.
And this has been Kyle.
And Brandon.
Wait a second, that's backwards. And Eric and
Me.
Thomas.
Thomas has joined us, and this is the Almighty Loaf.
Oh, baby, the almighty. I just want to see it. I just want to see it. There he is. There's my boy. And this has been episode 17, ladies and gentlemen.
TekTalks. Oh, no. Keep it going. What happens now?
I don't know. I think it's just over.
It just fades to black?
to dark.
Okay, so we out.
We out for sure.